Right. Hi, I'm Brian Dosen. I call this meeting of LaSalle County Public Safety to order in room 250 at 9 o'clock. First order of business will be roll call. Tom?
Here.
Ron?
Here.
Wally?
Here.
I'm also here. We have a quorum. Joanne is on vacation, not here. And we have 2 on WebEx. So we're going to make, after we have official physical roll. I need a motion to approve remote attendance, and it's for each individual. So I think there's actually 2 motions. So Tom will make the motion to approve remote attendance pursuant to resolution 23-53. Ron will second that motion. And this is going to be for Ray Gatza. Ray, are you online?
I am present.
And you meet the parameters of the resolution?
Yes, I do. It's work related. I've got a 10 a.m. Corporate call.
Okay. All right, is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Welcome aboard, Ray. Next one, we need a second motion. Tom, would you like to second that as well?
Yes.
And Ron as well? Okay, this is a motion to approve remote attendance pursuant to resolution 2353. This is for Craig Emmett. Craig, are you on?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you meet the parameters of resolution 23-53?
Yes, sir. I have a conference call at 10. I'll have to be getting off.
Okay. All right. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, that motion carries as well. Welcome to discussion, Craig. Next thing, a motion to approve minutes of the prior meeting. Tom, again, Wally this time. Wally, a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, that motion carries unanimously. Next up, we have citizen comment. So, Jackie, would you like to come on up? Jackie Hughes.
Good morning. My name is Jacqueline Hughes. I am here as a homeowner and representative for my subdivision at 1939th Road, also known as Highland Drive, located just west of Dayton. We have a feral cat problem that I hope you can help with. We currently have about 40 plus cats that roam our 8-home cul-de-sac, surrounding neighborhoods, and the wooded area that was once filled with a well-balanced wildlife population. The main issue is that one house on our block feeds all the feral cats. Despite our pleas with him and his wife to refrain from doing this, they continue to feed them, and the cats are now multiplying at an even more rapid pace. LaSalle County has nothing that prohibits him from doing this, even though it wreaks havoc on the environment, is destructive to our property, and is at minimum a health and safety hazard. We have a fenced-in backyard that we try to keep well-maintained. My 4-year-old daughter enjoys playing back there. She has had to retreat to the house due to the cats climbing on her swing set, scaring her away. We had to tear out landscaping on one side of our house due to it being dug up by the cats. On a humid day, a foul odor emits from my flower beds. In the 3 years that we've had our pool, we have had to purchase 3 different pool covers due to them being torn apart. My neighbors, who are also here with me, they have a list of complaints and damages as well. First, I would like to propose a feral cat ordinance for our county, as I'm sure we are not the only neighborhood that suffers from this. I've heard about this happening all over. I'm sure you guys get many complaints. I propose an ordinance be passed that states residents in residential areas be prohibited from feeding stray cats unless they are sterilized in order to manage procreation. I do understand that there are a lot of moving parts and things to consider with this proposal. I'm well aware of how all that works. At the least, can you give us some resources, do some research on vets that can help, or adopt a trap, neuter, and release program to help control the population? I recommend looking up the one that Grundy County has adopted as a potential model. I have a hard copy here for your convenience as well. I also have the Ottawa City Ordinance one too. I know county and city are very different, but at least they have something in place. In conclusion, I'm asking you, as the elected officials, for guidance, resources, and a plan to help us with this problem. My neighbors and I are happy to meet up with any of you to discuss the matter further. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak today. I won't take up any more of it.
Thank you. And we have a couple of examples. I'm going to turn this over to Secretary, and she can make copies and scan them in and email them to everybody. Thank you. Is there any other citizen comment? Okay, let's start with animal control. Doc, come on up.
I guess I'll go over the agreement we've been working on with Ivar before I address that. So as you know, we don't have a pound or anything in LaSalle County, so we have been working with the kennels and rescues in the area to kind of create agreements where they will house stray dogs for us. So last meeting we were kind of discussing the idea of like leasing a space within Ivar. Going back and forth with Ivar, it kind of opens up a lot of complications in terms of like staffing that area, and bills and record keeping and all that kind of stuff. And as you guys know, we're pretty short-staffed in animal control as it is. And what we put in place when Ottawa lost their, the city of Ottawa lost their opportunity to take it to a local vet clinic, we kind of put in temporary agreements with Norway Kennel and Ivar, and they seem to be working pretty well. We've got minor things to work out as we're all kind of working together, but the protocols and everything need to get tightened up a little bit, but it seems to be working pretty well. So instead of trying to change that model and go to a lease program, we kind of wound it back to kind of doing similar to what we're doing, which is more or less paying per night for these dogs. And so what we kind of decided on with Ivar would be, it would be a similar agreement where Ivar holds the dogs for $50 a night. That would be payable by the owner at pickup. So it's kind of like a fine in itself. You know, if you lose your dog, it has to be taken to Ivar. You have to pick it up. Then you have to pay that. And then on top of that, it would be, they gave us the opportunity to do a reservation of kennels. So that way we have a guaranteed spot for animals to go to. I would say the majority of the time when we have a stray dog, between Ivar and Norway Kennels, which we're currently using, that dog can be housed. So the reservation is more of like a guarantee, and that would be $250 a month or $3,000 a year. And she said there's several kennels that we could do that with. So if other ordinance or other municipalities wanted to do that, they could either go through the county and work off our agreement, or LaSalle and Peru already have agreements with Ivar, and I think Ottawa, just for simplicity's sake, is leaning towards doing their own agreement directly with Ivar instead of going through the county, which just saves office time for everybody involved. So I think that's kind of what they're leaning towards. We were previously kind of leaning towards an intergovernmental agreement, but I think it will keep things simpler if they just deal directly with Ivar. So yeah, that's kind of where it sits. The specifics of it all would be, they have to house the dog for 3 days if the owner's not known, and then after 3 days, the dog is either euthanized if it's not adoptable, or Ivar would take possession of it. So the county, if a stray dog goes in and the county can't find the owner and it's euthanized, that would be the boarding costs, and then the euthanasia cost would be on the responsibility of the county. If that dog is sent to Ivar, then we would pay the boarding costs, but they would pay all the vet costs in order to get that dog adopted out, which would be spay and neuter, microchip, rabies vaccinations. So neither Norway Kennels nor Ivar wants to house any vicious dogs, which I can't really blame them. So those will still go to our facility at Stillgrass Vet. Rabies quarantines will still go to Stillgrass Vets, or the owner's vet if they can get them in, or they can do an at-home quarantine if the dog is not vicious. And then, like this past month, we had a hoarding situation where we rescued like 24 dogs from it. So it's hard to place all those right away, but Ivar came out and helped with transportation and those kind of things. So in those situations like that, they were willing to help us at $75 an hour for that. And that includes like any after hours drop-offs there and things like that. So I think that's pretty reasonable. Yeah, I think that's about it. So according to LaSalle County ordinance, we do have a fine that's in place after the second offense of a stray dog, which currently is really difficult to enforce because it's hard to keep track of individual dogs. So if we did want to enforce that, I think the only way to do that, which according to that ordinance as well, we're supposed to have every dog microchipped that comes in as a stray dog, which can be a little difficult because they're at Norway Kennels and Ivar, which don't really have microchips on hand as we usually have vet clinics. So it worked well in the past because the stray dogs were usually housed at a vet clinic, but as you know, that's kind of gone away. So we're using the shelters now. So the only way to do that would be microchip these animals. So we'll see if we can develop some sort of system where those animals are microchipped, and then next time they're caught and they're stray, we always scan them. Then we can start enforcing those fines. That requires us to have a database of all those stray dogs and their microchip numbers and things like that. So just more manpower. But as for now, that's why the fines aren't being enforced, is because you can't keep track of dogs without microchips, and most of them have not been getting microchipped. So yeah, that's kind of where that sits. Got any comments on that? I guess that's not my job. I'm done.
No, it's okay. So the microchip system, just to kind of, I'm trying to understand. So before there was a system in place through Ottawa Vet, they would or that's something we're trying to get established.
Yeah, so there's an old ordinance that says whenever LaSalle County picks up a stray dog, it needs to be microchipped and make sure it's current on rabies vaccine. So that was easy to do in the past because the animals were picked up and generally taken to a vet clinic, either Ottawa Vet or Dale Broad's clinic, or
Gotcha.
any other vets. But now we don't really take them to vet clinics anymore because they don't want to do that. So
Can shelters microchip?
they could, yeah. I think we would probably have to supply them with them so they have them on hand. I haven't discussed it with them if they're actually open to actually doing that. But it's tough. Yeah, so if they're open to that, it would be pretty simple. They can't do rabies vaccinations because that has to be done by a veterinarian legally. But yeah, I think that's kind of, if we did want to enforce that, that's kind of what we would have to do. The county would probably have to provide microchips, and that'd be willing and able to do that, so.
Any other questions, committee? Okay, Doc.
Hey, Brian.
Brian,
Oh, what? Ray, we got one here
I
first.
just had one real quick question. If you did go back to that and you're chipping the dogs, is that reimbursable then to the county of the person who owned the pet?
Yeah.
Per the
right.
ordinance?
Yeah, per the ordinance, it says that's the owner's responsibility to pay for that, so. Yep.
Ray, you had something?
yeah, Brian, I apologize.
Nope.
But after Jackie Hughes had public comment, my phone went blank for a little bit. I did not hear if we responded, or if the doc gave a response, or further action going to be taken.
Not yet.
We haven't got there yet. We're getting there. So,
Okay, thank you.
yep. So that basically that stray housing contract that is still working on it.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to run it by you guys beforehand, so.
Tom?
This is basically for you, Jeremiah. Is that ordinance that we have and that fine setup, is that enforceable? Is it something that we can enforce through the courts, or what's are the problems with doing it and getting these animal owners to be responsible for their dogs, to come and pick them up and to pay that fine? How is that work? I mean, I'm sure it's not a misdemeanor, but a petty offense, or what would that be?
Not having seen the ordinance myself, I'm not entirely certain, but generally, they're enforceable if somebody can, we can kind of try to make them pay it up front, do the right thing, kind of like a ticket. If they don't do it, then we can take them to court, usually is how that works.
And this is kind of going with Mr. Gatso when he made the comment and with the lady's comments also. There would be, if there was an ordinance that would certainly cover cats as well as dogs, then I'm just trying to get to a place where it could have some teeth, that the ordinance would have some teeth, that people would be in their best interest to just go ahead and comply with the ordinance.
Yeah, so as the ordinance written right now, it says it's a $150 fine. It doesn't say anything about the criminal penalty. $150 fine, and if it's paid within 7 days of giving that fine, you can pay $75. And I'm pretty sure it's specific to just dogs at this time. That's all I could find. But I mean, if your dog's there for 2 nights, that's $100 worth of board, and then a fine if it's. And that's the tough part, is we can't say, oh, this dog's been here before. We have pictures and things like that, but we don't keep a database of that, or like when the event happened. So it's hard to say, oh, we got a black and white dog from you 2 years ago. We think this is your, so it would have to be. I think the only way to do it with any substance would be to have those microchips in a database with the date and the microchip number of that animal. So.
Jeremiah, would this be more a civil issue as opposed to a criminal issue if we could hold them civilly, make them civilly compliant to this?
Yeah, I mean, all violations of ordinance are civil litigation as opposed
Okay.
to criminal litigation, so.
Okay,
yeah.
so as far as,
There are a number of animal control ordinances that I've started to get up to speed on that, like, I think that there's a significant amount of people who are ignoring some of these petty ordinance issues. The sheriff's office has been trying to enforce the rabies tag one. There's people that have not paid for their rabies tags or not gotten their animals the shots they need. There's a significant amount of enforcement that can be done on some of these things. It just depends on how much time we want to devote to it, is all. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so you'll probably be able to present that next month?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, and we can maybe get that off the list. So we're gonna add something, I guess, then, huh?
Yeah. So as the Illinois Animal Control Act kind of dictates feral animals or animals at large. They don't specifically have any leash laws or anything like that, so they give that to the local ordinances. We only have the ordinance for dogs at large. We do not have anything currently for cats. And the way we operate in terms of like who owns an animal is, because sometimes the way we operate with who owns an animal is if you provide care for that animal, because there's no title or legal document stating you own an animal. So if you provide care for that animal, you become its caretaker and its owner. So like we get situations where, we'll have a bite in a house and, the son and the mother and a girlfriend's living there or something like that, and they'll say, oh, this animal's doesn't belong to me, it belongs to him, and they'll say they belong it. So whoever's in that house taking care of that animal, which we say is feeding it, right? So pretty much if you house the animal or you feed the animal, then that's how we operate as you're the owner. So in terms of an ordinance, if you did extend that ordinance that we have that's currently written for dogs to cats, then those people who feed those cats would then become their caretakers, and then they're responsible for not allowing those animals to run at large. I mean, if someone was doing that with a dog, if they were feeding a dog off their back porch, we would implement that same. Even though they said they don't own the dog, if they're feeding it and it keeps coming back for food, then they become its caretaker. So that would be legal ownership in our regard. So if that dog bit somebody, then that person would be responsible for taking care of that situation. So I guess if you just extended that to a cat, it would be the same legality. But I guess the enforcement of it, right? So we, as the South County Animal Control, we don't really go out and like trap loose dogs. Most of the time people catch them themselves and then bring them to us, or if there's a situation where that animal looks aggressive and things like that, and we get several calls about it, then we go out there and try to trap it. But we don't go out and patrol for loose animals or anything like that. So, and that's just because we don't have the manpower to do that. So that's a whole aspect to it as well. We can write the ordinances all day long, but actually getting them enforced, I think, is rather difficult. And some of the people may be elderly, that are feeding these cats. So we put that ordinance in place. So right now there's what we just talked about, the $150 fine if you have a loose animal. So we have that ordinance, and we go to these people and say, okay, you're feeding all these cats, we're going to fine you $150 if these cats are out again, right? So they're constantly out. But what do these people do? They can't trap them, they can't get them contained. So I think writing the ordinance is one thing versus actually enforcing the ordinance or having it implemented is a whole nother thing. There are counties that, like she had mentioned, that do the catch, the trap and neuter and fix and release. Those are big undertakings, right? You have to have whole people to catch them. You have to have usually several vets dedicated days to spaying and neutering them. It becomes really cost prohibitive if you try to do that. Like if you try to catch a cat, get it, and then take it to a vet clinic, as you would normally, paying full price, it gets really cost prohibitive. A lot of those counties that have stuff, they get supplies, expired supplies donated from, hospitals or vet clinics. Usually they'll have veterinarians either donate their time or they'll have vet students from schools come up and do that. So it seems simple, but there's a lot of infrastructure behind it that's required of that program. So those are just things to consider, I guess, just from being in the industry and seeing what others have done at the time. So that's kind of all I have on that. I mean, I totally agree. It can be totally frustrating. I'm not trying to downplay how inconvenient that is for you guys. It's just, how much the county has to be able to devote to it. Like I said, we can write ordinances all day long, and we can fine people, but realistically, a lot of people won't have the, even if they just say, okay, we're going to stop feeding them, that makes, it'll take a while for that problem to resolve. Those cats will still hang around in that area, so they'll have to be trapped or something like that, I would imagine, for that issue to be resolved. So.
Brian,
Yes, go ahead.
my concern is, let's assume the 40 cats is correct. When Ivar was there, they said they have 100 cats. Hopefully the county doesn't get stuck paying for housing or neutering those cats. If someone is creating this situation. I mean,
So,
there's a cost long-term for us.
okay.
Yeah, and so the other thought to that, and this is one of the reasons that we not written an ordinance about it, right? So this is a bad situation. So we're gonna say we put an ordinance in place and we help out this situation. So we get calls a lot for stray cats, and it's usually not this bad, right? It's 2 or 3 stray cats that people are feeding or hanging around in that area. So we deal with this situation, what seems like it needs to be dealt with. But then we continually get these calls of 2 or 3 stray cats that we need to either go trap and pick up and spay and neuter, so it turns into a pretty much a catch and release program, catch and fix and release program. So, so it opens up, it adds a big budget to the animal control budget, which is pretty small right now. So those are just things to think about, I guess.
Are we neutering them though? Like if you find a random dog, you pick up a dog, if no one claims it, it's put down.
Yeah, so once
So why wouldn't the cats be the same way?
Right. I am all for that. You'll get typically the reason that it's catch and release is because of community pushback. A lot of people will get upset if we go trap feral cats and then euthanize them. We do that with dogs that are unadoptable. And so once we pick up an animal, as animal control, we are then bound by Illinois Animal Control Act. So we can't rehome that dog, or I would assume cat, without spaying and neutering it, getting it rabies vaccinated, and microchipping it. So once we pick the animal up, we're bound by those laws. So that's several $100s every time you pick up an animal beyond actually picking it up and housing it. Yeah.
So we have to do that first before we put it up for adoption.
Correct. If we adopt it, yeah. If we pick up a dog and it's vicious and we don't think it's adoptable, obviously we don't have to do all the vet care before we euthanize it.
But if we went into a program with cats, we picked it up, and there's 40 cats in a neighborhood creating absolute havoc for homeowners in the county. And it's not just here, right? It's the
Right.
complaints out of Marseilles, Tonica,
Yeah.
everywhere else. So we couldn't, by ordinance, create something where it has to be, someone actually has to try to adopt it first, then we would go ahead and have it neutered.
We could, yeah.
We
And,
could-
and honestly, most of the feral cats are not going to be a cat that anybody wants in their house, right?
Yeah.
So realistically, they're unadoptable, in my opinion, anyways, if you do catch them. The reason those, yeah. So that legally, we could very well write an ordinance that says if we pick up the cat and we deem that it's unadoptable, which I would imagine 95% of stray cats are going to be unadoptable, then we could euthanize them.
Provided give them 7 days or whatever the case may be, or 3 days. I don't.
Yeah, I guess I guess legally you would know the owner if they have been feeding them. So that owner has 7 days to come pick up the cat, legally, I guess. Or they could say, we don't want the cat, we relinquish it right away.
I have a question about ownership. So, dogs, I have a little bit understanding on it. They're registered to the owner, right, and this and that, rabies tags and stuff like
Yeah.
that. With cats, when someone, let's say, and I think you made this point earlier, if you have somebody that's feeding 40 cats, the cats aren't licensed to them, they're not registered to them. But by law, because they're feeding them, that's how that's looked at
Yeah,
as owner. Because someone would easily say, "Well, they're not my cats.
right, yeah.
I just put milk out. I do it for the birds."
Yeah. So yeah, that's how we've ran into situations in the past where a dog has bit somebody, and then they say, well, that's not my dog, even though the dog lives in the house and they feed the dog. So legally, we say, well, if you provide care for that animal, you feed it, you keep it alive, more or less, then you are the owner. And
Right.
so like when we run into relinquish issues, like they say we don't want the dog anymore because it bit somebody. We don't want the responsibility. We're gonna hand it over to the county. Who can legally sign that piece of paper as the owner? We say, well, whoever's providing care for that dog becomes the owner. So.
And could we draft something too that states like, if it's within 300 feet of another home? Because I grew up on a farm, we had cats.
Yeah.
I mean, they would crawl up your blue jeans. You had scraps of food you're carrying out there, trying to get at it before he even gets off the plate. Right? Is that something too? It's more of like a residential subdivision or flavor.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, you would probably know better than I would about that. If you can enforce ordinances and distances. But yeah, I mean, we've got cats around our vet clinic that we don't feed, that just come and go. So, yeah, I mean, so.
And then like the enforcement is in some ways no different than someone feeding deer out of season, right? I mean there's a so they can't do that.
Yeah.
So,
right.
and
that technically falls under it doesn't fall under the Illinois Animal Control Act because it's not designated a companion animal. So then you get into DNR and conservation
Uh-huh.
because those are now game species. So that falls into another set of rules which are a lot more strict than companion animals.
So you're saying cats aren't game species?
Yeah, right. I guess it depends on how you look at it.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess as far as the committee is concerned, do you think this is something worth pursuing, looking into?
Well, I think we have to do that. I think we have to, there's a lot more that needs to be discussed with Dr. Reese and with them about this whole situation, with the dogs as well as the cats and things. I think the board has got to be doing something if we're going to add more money to the budget to give him more people that they can do the things we need to do. We're going to have to look at those things. We're going to have to see where this all falls. But this isn't just something that's just outside of such and such a town. I remember very well, and just talking to Dave now, it's across the county. We did it. We were dealing with this stuff from the north to the south and east to the west. Get these complaints, where people, and particularly more with cats than there were with dogs. Actually, from my recollection, I think the committee, can talk about it some more, and then in addition to talking about it, I think we have to do something about it. I think we have to get it to the right committee from here to see if we can more properly fund that agency or come up with something that can help alleviate this problem. I mean, it's just going to get worse, not going to get better on its own. So we're going to have to do something about it. So that's my 2 cents, is that yes, I'd like to see the committee either move it to another committee, move it to the county board, whatever the next process would be. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see it go somewhere, yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
If that's a motion that you need,
Not yet, not yet, not yet.
Okay, I would make that, but for my 2 cents, just for discussion, then that's how I feel about it.
Okay. What about the streeter contingency? Same, Ron? Feel the same way? Wally? Wally, your mic.
How they solved it, I mean, I know what she means about the odor, and, because this person had 30 cats in the house, and it was, I don't know how the city streeter did about it, but they got rid of them somehow.
So there is and with that event where we had where 20-some dogs were in the house, there is, in the Illinois Welfare Act, I believe, or Animal Welfare Act, there's a clause for considered animal cruelty if you house so many animals. I don't know if it says it's inside or not, but if you house so many animals inside, I don't know if it legally has to be inside or on your property, in unsanitary conditions, there is that legality, so maybe they went down that route. I don't know if that would apply to this situation because they're out, but there's that too. They call it companion animal hoarding, I think, in the ordinance.
Ray, do you have any thoughts on this?
I agree with what Tom stated, but in this case, the neighbor, they are creating a real nuisance. I wish we could do something quicker about it than wait for us to have the ordinance. Is there nothing just as a nuisance?
So, if the animal is not regulated by DNR and conservation as a hunting species, which cats are not, just like a possum would be, if that possum or cat or a mouse is causing you nuisance, you're allowed to exterminate it. So I think, so we'd have to look at the legality of that. If we don't have an ordinance saying a cat is a companion animal, does it then fall under that idea of some sort of pest or nuisance animal, where if they're denying ownership, that animal is unowned and causing a nuisance, then you can do what you want with it, right? So you could trap and neuter them, or trap and euthanize them without an ordinance. That would be my thought.
Craig?
Yes, sir.
So you live in Dayton. What are your thoughts?
I kind of agree with Tom on that. I'm like you. We got 500 cats always running around out there all the time. Come and go.
Okay. So, I guess, Under Sheriff, do you have any thoughts?
No, not at this time. I know it's definitely a big problem. I'm just kind of listening to some suggestions here, and if there's anything we can do legally, we will. We'll try to enforce it.
Okay. So I guess path moving forward, could we ask the state's attorney's office to maybe draw something up and maybe look at forwarding it to Legan Rules? Chairman Jensen, you have something?
I think if we're going to take a look at that, you're going to have to take a look at, in consideration what you said, Tom, is how much you're going to be willing to increase workforce and how much that's going to cost. Because that's going to be part of the conversation eventually.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's, I agree. If you write an ordinance saying you can't feed feral cats, you're gonna be fined, and someone's gonna have to get rid of the cats. You know, people are gonna call and say, okay, my neighbor's feeding 3 cats, and then we're gonna have to continually enforce all of these situations that may not be as dire as their situation. You know, we get a lot of complaints about that. And right now, we say we don't have an ordinance, they're a nuisance species if they're not owned, and so we leave it up to the homeowner to decide what they want to do with that situation. And I don't know if we do want to look into that and verify that legally we were able to track. So the DNR also regulates traps you put out. So if you put out a trap for a feral cat and you catch a fox, you've now trapped a huntable species out of season, right? So there's legalities in there. So my thought would be, instead of writing an ordinance for this, because we'll have to enforce that forever, and usually situations this bad are rare, that we look at the legalities of if you can trap cats and euthanize them underneath them being a nuisance species rather than a companion animal, if we don't have any ordinance stating that they're a companion animal in the county. And that way, that would give us the ability to go help these folks right away without having to write an ordinance, and wouldn't stick the county on patrolling feral cats in all of the county from here forth. That would be my thought.
Chairman?
Chairman,
Go ahead.
Ray, go ahead.
instead of getting into chasing every cat that's loose, is there any way, in this specific case of the stream, if there was a petition by the neighbors stating that they've got damage due to the neighbor feeding the kittens in a purposeful manner, is there anything else legally that we can do besides writing an ordinance for cats?
Is that a state's attorney's question?
Like what? I mean, they have a civil remedy if somebody's doing something that's damaging their property, but the idea of the government just charging out there and trying to clean this up without anything already on paper, I can't come up with something that fits this scenario.
I just didn't know if there was something intentional where they could take it to a small claims court or something like that.
Yeah, there might be a civil remedy for them if they're, I mean, anytime there's neighbor disputes that get litigated in civil court all the time. That doesn't involve the county necessarily.
Correct, and I'm wondering if that is an avenue we can go, or they could go.
They'd have to discuss that with an attorney. We can't advise them on that front.
Correct, I'm just, if Jackie is still in the room, I'm just suggesting that they get a petition, they take it to maybe a small claim court, or get their damages back, if they can do something like that.
Chairman, you had something you wanted to add?
Yes, I apologize for coming in late, but I'm assuming you're talking about unincorporated area, not the cities and villages.
Yeah, and I was thinking that you could simply write a ordinance saying you can't feed stray cats or feral cats, but I mean, a lot of our clientele, farm owners, have cat food out in their barn, and can they go grab that cat and pick it up and pet it? Most of them can't, so it's like, where does feral cat start and a barn cat begin? You know, so there's also that gray area too, where I think if you have barn cats, they keep away mice, you should be able to feed them, even though they're not a house pet, you know, so there's a lot of gray area there as well. In terms of writing an ordinance that you can't feed cats.
That would be something within like a subdivision ordinance within 300 feet. I mean, we have very exact ordinances when it comes to building code construction.
Yeah.
I mean, I supported moving animal control from a separate agency to the sheriff's department because every animal case just about is a domestic. It's a dispute between neighbors, whether the dog bites someone or the cat. And that's what this is right here. This is a dispute. And if I'm paying property taxes that go somewhere and we have inaction simply because we don't have an ordinance in place and it doesn't happen all that frequency, I don't know why I would be upset. And especially when it impacts my quality of life, my home values, where I live. So I would think sitting on millions and millions in public safety that we do have the money to actually fund these programs. And I don't know, I hear roadblocks all the time here, well, it's going to cost all this money. What does it actually cost? What are we looking at? Would this be $20,000? The budget's not finalized till November 28th, 29th. We have plenty of time to add stuff like this in. If we think this is what it's going to actually cost. Does it mean we have to pay overtime for additional deputy to do this stuff? Okay. I mean, if I'm a homeowner and I'm already paying for this service and it's a domestic dispute, and yeah, I could take them to court, but in Grundy County, they have a program in place. And I know that's probably an expensive program, the trap and neuter program, but I think we should explore something here. Like, I think we owe it to our residents. And I know the difference between them. I grew up on a farm. I know the difference between them, you know, and I think we all do here. But we also have areas that are really residential areas. So I personally, my take on it is I would like to see some sort of something in place. And if we have to add additional money into the budget, we have plenty of time to do so. So figuring out from the sheriff's department end what that actual cost would be, what that cost from the animal control perspective, and then have some sort of either nuisance situation ordinance, you know, looked at by the state attorney's office, or the creation of one, I think would be a benefit to the county, much like it is in other counties. That's my take, and we have no motion on the agenda because it's a discussion item. That'd be my take, and I'd ask for everyone for their opinion as well.
Well, I'll just stand on what I said, that, you know, that I agree basically with you, again, finding the money. I know it's in public safety as well, and, you know, there's probably something there that's available for it. What I see is the enforcement of it and the distinction between, as Doctor has said, you know, the farm cat and the feral cat. And the ordinance would probably have to be, and Jeremiah, would have to be something that was extremely well written, which I'm sure all the ordinances are. But it's going to be kind of a touchy situation. But if it's been tackled other places, no sense in reinventing the wheel, and we'll get some other ordinances from some other locations, such as the young lady gave us, the Grundy County ordinance. I believe that's what you gave us to start with, and look around and see if we can't, you know, put our name on the top of it and, you know, and change it to LaSalle County.
Aside from obviously the increased expense to animal control and the increased time and effort of LaSalle County deputies to enforce it in the unincorporated areas, LaSalle County doesn't have administrative law judges like the municipalities do. We can't just take these in front of city administrative law judges and hope that we can work it out. This is also court time. This is also state's attorney's office litigation. So like ordinance violation, is not the routine in our office and hasn't been for some time. I could probably count the amount of ordinances that have actually been litigated by the state's attorney's office in my 20 years there on two hands. If it's an increase in the amount of court time, I've already talked with the clerk's office about where ordinances of this nature are going to get resolved. I mean, there's man hours involved there too. It's not just, especially if we get in a legal fight over what the ordinance says. So, I mean, yes, it would have to be crafted very carefully. But after that, then when these guys do their job and the sheriff's office does their job, then our office has to do our job. It's more manpower than just we want to get rid of the cats. And the other thing that I would make sure that everybody's aware of is that although from a professional standpoint, a veterinarian has a professional opinion on what should or shouldn't be done with cats in the general area. Don't forget, the public has a very different idea of what should or shouldn't be done with cats. So this will result in a very hot button reaction, regardless of what you do. They've got a very, very good reason for being upset about it, and I agree with that. But these types of cases hit a nerve with more than just the people who are affected by it directly. So just bringing that to everybody's attention.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a big reason that there's not feral cats being caught and euthanized in other counties. It's not because of the administrative staff who wrote the ordinances, anything like that. There will be a lot of public pushback if we implement an ordinance or anything that says we're catching feral cats and euthanizing them. In my opinion.
Again, I'm asking that we attack the extreme case, not the everyday feral cat.
Yeah. Personally, I guess I just already said this, but personally, I think the easiest way to do this is try to go outside of the ordinance and see if that legally that cat falls under a nuisance species, because then it can be treated like any other nuisance species where you have private exterminators that come out and take care of the situation, or if I think we would be able to help as animal control in that regard. Sometimes in extenuating situations where people have issues with skunks or things like that, we will go out there and help them if they can't help themselves. So we do that occasionally. So maybe we can get around having to write an ordinance about feral cats if they're treated as a nuisance species, but I'll just have to look into the legality of that.
Is the state attorney's office going to help look into that?
Yeah, I'll look into that. My gut feeling is that it can't be treated as a nuisance species, but that's just a guess.
Anyone else? So we're just going to look into the nuisance, and we're not going to work on any type of ordinance, or are we going to look up ordinances at least?
I guess, yeah, I would say would be my preferred first method of action. If an ordinance is written, I don't think it should be I think it should simply be an ordinance that you can't feed cats if X applies, if they're within a certain area or you have neighbor complaints or something like that. Because the minute they're labeled as like a stray animal, I would assume that animal control would be obligated to pick those animals up if there's a complaint, and obligated that once we have the animal to do all the things that I talked about before. So it's I think you either write the ordinances, you can't feed cats with certain situations happening, but they're not considered a companion animal stray or an animal at large. But if you go down that route, then I would imagine you're talking to implement the whole program like Grundy County may have you're talking at least another deputy on staff, plus, which is close to $100,000 a year for the county, plus all the actual expense of the medical care and neutering those animals and spaying those animals, once you have them, you know, and you have to find a facility to do that, or lease space, or, you know, and you probably have to have another administrative person to just help manage that as far as the amount of help we have in animal control currently. So I would say you're looking at a full-time job plus at least a part-time job plus the actual medical expenses to spay and neuter those animals, which I can't imagine you'd be getting it done any cheaper than $100 an animal, you know. So just to take care of that situation, you know, you have $4,000 in expenses right there just for medical expenses.
You report back in November on what's going on?
Report back in what way and how that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of what we've come up with?
Yep.
Okay. Can we put on the agenda then? Like, as in what we're gonna do? So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Is that okay with you? Okay. Yeah. Anything else? No? All right, we have to pay bills for animal control. Motion to pay bills by Wally, second by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carried. A motion to approve report by Tom and Wally, second by Wally. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries as well. All right, next up, Coroner, do you want to go?
Okay, for my monthly report, we had no accidentals, no traffic accidents, 4 corner natural, no undetermined, no homicides, 2 suicides, no overdoses for once, 8 corner medical, for a total of 74 for the month.
Any questions? Okay, a motion to approve report by Tom, seconded by Ron. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That motion carries. Anything else?
Nothing really under new business, just a FYI thing, and towards the end of October here, our office is gonna be hosting a 2-day fire death investigation class in Star Rock. But it's being covered by the Coroners Association, and I know a lot of the local police agencies and stuff are coming too, so we'll have that on the 22nd and 23rd. Other than that, I don't really have anything new or old.
Motion to approve coroner bills by Ron, second by Wally. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, that carries well. Thank you, coroner. EMA or sheriff would like to go?
As far as my report goes, there were 3 field service unit callouts during the month of September. 1 was to assist Ottawa PD, and 2 was to assist Utica PD at their Wine Walk Festival. Also, I wanted to bring up the fact that Kyle and I both, and I'll introduce Kyle under new business, but Kyle and I both attended an active shooter incident management and school safety active violence incident management training last week at IVCC. The titles of the training kind of explain what the topic was. We are actually, because of the response that Streeter had and then Ottawa had it, we're actually going to host that class one more time in May. It's a 2-day class. I'm looking for 9 more law enforcement officers and 6 more firefighters to attend that class. I've got 14 educators already in line that will be there, and there are maximums, and that's the maximum amount of educators that I can have at that class. So that's about it for my report.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? Motion to approve report? By Wally, second by Ron. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, that carries.
I don't have anything under old business, but as I said in my oral report, I'd like to introduce to everybody Mr. Kyle Dubois. He's been with me for 2 weeks now. He's on his 3rd week. He is heavily invested in his training so far. He's got most of his independent study courses already completed. He's attending 2 classes next week that will work him towards his basic Emergency Management Academy certification. So he won't be here next week. He'll be out of the office, but he's a go-getter. He's ready to jump in and do whatever needs to be. And if Kyle has any remarks that he'd like to say, he can. Or if you guys have any questions for him, feel free.
Good morning, everyone. Just really happy to be here. I'm glad to get to work and contribute to the EMA mission.
Welcome aboard.
It's a long time coming. You can't imagine how happy I am that he's finally here, but it's a good thing. And that's all I have under new business as well.
Good. A motion to approve EMA bills by Tom, a second by Wally.
Yeah.
Okay. So a motion and a second. No discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Those bills carry. Motion carries. Okay. Sheriff?
Yeah, this will be real quick. Just let everybody know, we're currently establishing a hiring list. We had the power test over Saturday, and a written test was taken last night. We had some candidates come out. We sent out, I believe we sent out about 38 applications. Only 17 were returned. We had 13 at the power test, and we had 9 at the written test last night. So we'll be having a list put out here shortly, and we'll start doing some interviews here. We have an academy coming up in January. We're hoping to potentially send 3 to that academy. We have 1 currently in the academy now, and he'll be graduating sometime in the middle of December. We have 5 deputies going through their FTO training right now, and they'll be released, if everything goes well, somewhere middle of November. So we're, business as usual. We've been pretty busy out there, so it's good to have those extra bodies out there and continue to keep doing what we're doing.
Thank you. Jason?
Good morning. So we're trying to wrap up our budget, and we continue to talk about the inmate healthcare services. I know that it was forwarded on the budget, but I do want to get through all of this with you guys first, obviously, and make sure that you're comfortable with all of this. Joanne, who apparently is on vacation today, asked me to bring in a representative from WellPath so that you guys could ask some questions about the contract. She's willing to answer your questions. The only thing I would ask is that you guys remember that some of the stuff she may not be able to answer for fair bidding purposes. But I mean, as far as overall payroll, other costs that may not be spelled out in a contract, things like that, she's here to answer any of those. I sat down with her this morning, went over some stuff. It's clearly not a $700,000 profit to the company with some of the other expenditures, and when you look and see what the cost for the full-time staffing is. But Cynthia from WellPath is here if anybody would like to address her with any questions about the contract. And just as a reminder, this is only we're looking at the 1-year extension. It would still go out for bid again in '26 for a new 3 or 4-year contract, depending on whatever we go after. So go ahead. Joanne, would you like? Oh, wait, she's not here.
I have a question on staffing. So it's staffed 24/7? Facility,
The facility is not staffed 24/7, it's 16/7.
16/7? And it's one nurse?
It depends on what day of the week it is. We have one nurse always on day shift and on the weekends. And then throughout the week, during the week, we have at least 2, one for the MAP program, and then the HSA, the Health Service Administrator, she will sometimes work the floor as well.
Okay. And those are RNs?
They are.
Yeah. And then you have social worker too?
We do.
Okay. You want to explain the staffing, or I could just continue to ask specific questions?
I actually don't have the actual matrix here, but yes, I can explain it. So we have 16/7 nursing coverage, so that's 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. In addition to that, we have full-time mental health professional coverage. We have a psych nurse practitioner that sees all the mental health patients. In addition to that, we will always have a psychiatrist as well, in case something is ever needed from that nurse the psych NP. And then we also have a medical provider, which is a nurse practitioner that is from this region, who sees patients in the community as well. In addition to that, we do have a full-time MAT nurse that is on staff, and I just can't say enough good things about her, and she actually has had national and a ton of state recognition for the program that you guys are running here. So you're doing an outstanding job with that.
Off the top of my head, I thought it was 228 contact hours. Is that correct? I don't have it in front of me. Is that what the contract is for a week, as far as total hours by staff?
I can figure it real quick.
Yeah, I apologize. I did not come with the staffing matrix in hand.
How many hours did you say, Brian?
I thought it was 228. Is that correct?
Per
week?
Per week?
I thought there was like 1 hour for virtual psych doctor. There was. I could go online and look.
Yeah, and yes, that's. I think that you're accurate on that, because it's 8 hours for the nurse practitioner on Fridays, and then it's the psych is also 1 day a week, and I think it was 4 or 6 hours, I think, on that contractually, on top of the nursing hours.
We're staying with those contact hours? Same amount?
What's your recommendation?
What's your recommendation? I don't.
Yeah, I
not
mean, this
there.
doesn't change the hours for the contract going on for 1 year. Did not request any changing in the hours.
Anything else from committee?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Anything else? Motion to approve bills, Sheriff's Department bills. Wally?
Yeah.
Second by Tom. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries. All right, anything else?
It was still on our budget, but I am with Amanda. I don't know that that was ever approved as part of the budget. We just had to have a number in there. And when I went to finance, is that right? I advised them that we were still in talks with you guys on what we wanted to do with that contract, but we needed to leave a number in there, in order to give them the budget.
So it comes out of this committee, then goes back to finance, then to the full board, or does it go right to the full board? Okay. Do we have a copy of the contract in front of me? It is on the agenda. It's essentially, is it 1.2 million? Is that what it was?
Yes, it was the one that was passed out, before the last committee meeting.
Same contract as last,
Correct.
so.
And the contract did allow for a 1-year extension in it.
Yep. And that's,
And I think it was, within the CPI, if it was 3.1 or 3.9, I think, was the renewal price.
yeah. November 30th, end of the contract?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So.
Excuse me.
uh,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So what was your notification time? 30, 60 days, or?
For renewal?
Yeah. Or if we just didn't do anything, it automatically renewed?
This is the last, we have one extension, we wanted, you guys, this is one additional extension to what we currently have to the
Okay.
contract.
So yeah, it's just, I think if there is an extension there at the end of it, if we need to request it, it would have to be within 90 days, I think. So you have, which we were within, because I requested the contract extension back in August.
All right. This is to go with WellPath, inmate juvenile healthcare services renewal. Motion by Tom, second. Ron? Okay. No one from WebEx is still on. So, and this for the total amount of $1,244,298.13. So, Tom? Roll call. We're doing roll call.
Say again, I'm sorry, I was,
In favor?
yes, I'm in favor. Aye.
Okay. Ron? Wally?
Aye.
Okay. I'll be an aye. So. All right. The motion carries. Anything else? No? Motion to adjourn? Wally? Ron? Okay, motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. We are adjourned.